kar Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sane Kar Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sane Kar Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha San Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sane Kar Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sane Kar Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha San Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sane Kar Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sane Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sane Karma Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Dagi Jetsun Lama Tuje Che Nyamda Dala Tuje Siksu So Gebe Shesan Dala Tendo So Uyon Sunge Nawa Tsedo So Tsechi Ningne Solwa Debe Tse Dechen Korlo Visu Lekshune Yila Sampe Dede Malupa Geme Lungi Drupra Chingelo Tsoni Sodan Dikdun Shape Tse Dungi Namke Yinsu Lekshune Labchen Tsoni Yonsu Tsopa Dan Chera Nyetun Chamra Chingelo Chancho Pargi Ninsen Tukun Tu Niu Peme Siudru Lekshune Chancho Drube Gegen Kunshishi Tungen De La Drupra Chingelo Dagi Lona Chola Chokpa Dan Chemin Samjur Ngemba Shiu Chedan Tumbe Dede Malupa Beme Lungi Drubra Chingelo Dorna Tingne Tsira Tamche Dan Techi Pardone Ka Tamche Tu Rese Kyamne Lama Kele Me Tukche Chengi Dala Siksu Sol Gongyab Drewe Nyamda Dachala Jetsun Lame Tuje Rab Gongne Kudan Songi Nangwa Dralme Tu Nyamsu Nyongwe Kesan Toprasho Kewa Kuntu Yanda Lama Dan Rame Chikipe La Longche Chi Sadan Lamgi Yunde Rabzone Dorje Change Kopa Nyur Tobe Sho Pakyuke Kudan Dagelu Pakyuke Sundan Dagi Nga Pakyuke Tugdan Dagi Ten yerme çıktı çingelo Ma köke kudan da gelü Ma köke sundan da gina Ma köke tugdan da geyi Ten yerme çıktı çingelo Om Shakyamuni Swaha. Sashipeki Choshimeto Tramare Rabalingashi Nidegempadi Sange Shintu Mikte Ulwarki Drokuna Namda Shingla Chöpar Shoyidam Guru Ratna Mandrala Kam Niryatayami. Sangye Chedan Soge Chonam La Chanchu Pardo Dani Kyapsu Che Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonam Ki Drula Pinchira Sangye Drupara Sho Sangye Chedan Soge Chonam La Chanchu Pardo Dani Kyapsu Che Dagi Chushe Gibe Sonam Ki Drola Pinchira Sangye Drupara Shua Sangye Chodan Tsogi Chonam La Chanchu Pardo Dani Kyapsu Chi Dagi Chushe Gibe Sonam Ki Drola Pinchira Sangye Drupara Shua. In the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment, through the practice of generosity and the other perfections. May I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. Nel Buddha, nel Dharma e nel Sangha prendo rifugio fino all'illuminazione. Con la pratica della generosità e delle altre perfezioni, possa io ottenere lo stato di Buddha per il beneficio di tutti gli esseri senzienti. Lai ke da ludan jinke drubondan da mi kenamda drwa kunge tanam chi champa tamche ke tu dagi cheten. Buongiorno, good morning. Quindi oggi continueremo le spiegazioni dei 6 Dharma di preparazione per una questione anche di coerenza con i giorni precedenti, anche per avere il set di tutti questi insegnamenti insieme. Farò in inglese, in modo che c'è sempre con la traduzione in italiano. Ok? Qualunque momento, se ci fosse qualcosa che non è chiaro, eccetera, che serve ripetere, basta che alzate la mano un secondo e ci siamo, ok? As we said yesterday, one of the greatest qualities of our mind is the flexibility of the mind. It's the capacity of the mind of adapting and transforming in accordance to what we do. Okay? So we have this amazing capacity that the more we do something, the more we get used to it, and gradually our mind adapts and transforms. And this is a quality that is used both in our favor and often against us also. So we tend to get used to things that are also harmful to us, not only to things that are beneficial to us. But it's important for us to use this in our own advantage, okay? For our own benefit. So, we don't have the choice not to shape our mind, not to change ourselves. Both our mind and our body and our environment and our relations, everything that exists and we are constantly in contact with, is constantly in transformation. Okay? And within this constant transformation, it transforms in accordance to the way how it interacts. The change comes from interaction. So if the interaction goes in a certain way, the transformation will go in the same way. So there is this coherence between interaction and change and transformation. So that's why it is very important, how do we interact? How do we act, finally? Because every action is an interaction. And there is no action that is in vain. There is no action that we do, no words that we say, no thoughts that we have that will not interact with the rest and consequently bring changes. Okay? So that's why yesterday we concluded with the part that to do the first part of meditation, of developing awareness and training our mind to remain still and stable on one object, it's very important. But at the same time, we need to train ourselves into this awareness also when we are not in meditation. Okay? So it may seem like something that we need to be somehow constantly working. And somehow it's true. But it shouldn't be something tense and something that it's like, how to say, that makes us tired and consumes our energy. The best if it's something that it becomes pleasurable as we go along the way, okay? But we need somehow to train ourselves to be present in the present moment, to learn to just relax ourselves in what we are doing, okay? Relax ourselves in the present moment. So yesterday we talked about two types of meditation, mainly. There is one type of meditation which is called in Tibetan Jorgum, which is single-pointed concentration, which is basically when we place our attention into one object and we rest our mind in that object and we remain concentrated in that object. And then there is Chegom, which is the analytical meditation. Analytical meditation, it's similar to an inner dialogue in which we try to convince someone about something. So in the analytical meditation, we will go through a certain object and we will analyze it until we get to the final conclusion. No? Making one analogy, let's imagine one equation, okay? It could be a very complicated equation, but let's make something very, very simple. 2 plus 2 equals 4, okay? I think we can all understand it, no? It's the more basic, I don't know, 1 plus 1 equals 2, okay? But 2 plus 2 equals 4, okay? That's very basic. But actually, 2 plus 2 is one thing, 4 is another thing. We can actually see 4 without seeing that 4 is the result of 2 plus 2. Okay? So if I go through the equation and I say 2, and then I say another 2, and I sum the 2, 2 plus 2 equals 4, and I focus on the 4 that is the result of 2 plus 2, within that 4 it is also the whole equation. 2 plus 2 is there. The whole equation is in the result. In the mental image of this 4, the whole equation is in there. I don't know if this is clear. This reminds me, one time, there is a true history of story of one mathematician. Now, I have very bad memory with names, but once I read a book about the life stories of different mathematicians. And there was one of them, which was an Indian guy. There was a movie made about him also. Now I don't remember the name of the movie. But he was incredibly intelligent. He came from a very low-class Indian family, and he ended up working and teaching and doing his own theories and so on in England, in Oxford, I think. And he was very successful. And he got very sick later in his life, especially also because of the changes of culture between England of the time, which we are talking about maybe the 70s or something like this. I don't know exactly in which time it was. And the Indian culture, so it was quite shocking somehow. Anyhow, this is not the point. The point is that one day, one of his best friends, which was another very important mathematician, came to see him in the hospital. And he was very, very sick. And the two met, and the friend didn't know much what to say. I don't know, I think it happened to many of us. If we are in front of someone that is in a very difficult situation, and we are there and we really don't know much what to say at the time. And then we say, oh, we'll talk about the weather maybe, no? So the weather talk about two mathematicians, what they said is, the friend went there and he didn't know what to say, so he said to him a number. And the number that he said was the number that was in the car plate of the taxi that he took. So it was no any specific number about anything. He just remembered the number of the car plate of the taxi, and he said that number to his friend. No? So I like this image of these two mathematicians. They meet and they one just say to the other, not saying sorry or anything, they just say a number. 4,752. I don't know which was the number. I'm just inventing one, okay? So he said the number. And the mathematician, the Indian guy that was sick, he was touched by it. He said, wow, how beautiful. You know? This number is the result of this equation. And then he explained all what was behind that number. And there was a very beautiful, complex equation that the result was that number. Okay? For most of us, and then the one that is telling the story, he says, for me was just the number of a taxi plate. And for him, it was a beautiful equation behind it. So, the analytical meditation is going through the equation. Is going through all the parts that comes into that result. Once we go to the result, then we can do single-pointed concentration on the result. That is the result of the whole equation. Because when I say 2 plus 2 equals 4, and I place my concentration into 4, it's not just 4, it's a 4 that is the result of 2 plus 2. I don't know if this is it clear? Okay? So, for example, the certainty of death, or we start before that, the preciousness of this life. Why is this life precious? Why it is so difficult to have the conditions that we do have here now? Basically, there are 3 basic conditions of this life being precious and rare and difficult to find. We have the minimum necessary material and more than the minimum necessary material needs that we have for a comfortable survival. Or not? We do. We have someone that guides us correctly on a spiritual path. We have a lineage, we have teachings, we have a path to follow. And we have the wish and the intention, the aspiration to follow this path. The joy in walking through the path. These are the three conditions. Okay? We look the first one. How common is for people in this planet to have the minimum necessary conditions so that they don't need to worry about their survival in a minimum comfortable way? Most of people have this luxury or not? No. Actually, the situation in our planet apparently is getting worse, it's not getting better. Okay? The data which I have, it's already quite many years old. I didn't do an update myself. But from what I understood, the situation is getting worse. The number of people that are undergoing famine in this world moment right now, it's rising, it's not diminishing in the planet. Okay? And some years ago, it was said that from the around 7 billion people in this planet, 2.5 billion people were below the line of poverty, which means they wake up hungry, they go to sleep hungry, they have no certainty about food. Okay? If we don't have the minimum necessary for our survival, it's very difficult for us to have the inner space and time to dedicate ourselves for a spiritual practice. Okay? Then we take the numbers that are given is that the other 2.5 billion people are people that are just above the poverty line, which means they can survive, but their life is fully dedicated for survival. Okay? Then we are left with another 2 billion people. From these 2 billion people, if we think around us, most people are completely busy in their lives with survival in a comfortable way, trying to have more comfort. And that's what life goes about. Work, consume, enjoy, avoid problems, and that's how life is consumed most of the time. So if we just look around ourselves and we think about our friends and families, the people that we know, what's the percentage of people that sees life as a tool for something higher instead of seeing life as a final goal? In other words, what is the percentage of people that within this life live one's own life just trying to survive in a comfortable way, which is avoiding problems, trying to get more pleasure? And how many and what is the percentage of people that actually see the life as an opportunity to develop one's own qualities, to overcome one's own negative habits, to become a better person for one's own benefit and for the benefit of others? What we have more? Just look around yourself and think about your friends and family. What is the priority for most of us? To have a comfortable life or to make this life meaningful? Most of the time is a comfortable life. Okay? Again, what is the percentage of people that wants to live in a perfect world, trying to change the world around oneself, that is blaming the world for what is happening, that is victimizing oneself for one's own suffering? And what's the percentage of people that is taking full responsibility upon oneself and that sees that the objective is to change the way how oneself relates to the world and not changing the world? the percentage gets higher or lower? Lower. Okay? So, from these 2 billion people that are above the poverty line and they have comfortable life, we are part of it. But from this, it's very little the number of people that actually have the possibility to have the second condition, which is a spiritual path to follow. And I'm not talking about Buddhism. It goes much beyond religion. It could be within any religion. But I'm talking about seeing one life as an opportunity to grow spiritually and to change one's own habits from a deeper perspective. And from the people that have this opportunity, how many are there that truly make this a priority in one's own life? Even less. So, the conditions that we have now are quite rare. Being rare doesn't make it precious, okay? There are many rare sicknesses that are not precious. Why is these conditions that we have in this life so precious? Why are they so special? Because what we most want is to be happy. And what generates suffering is our ignorance, our own selfishness, our anger, our fear, sadness, and so on. And these 3 conditions can give us the opportunity to overcome this suffering and to truly reach a state of peace and harmony that is durable in time, from one life even to the next. Okay? So isn't that a wonderful opportunity? Okay? So, when we say that this life is precious, we do not mean life is precious simply because life is precious. No. Life is precious in the sense that we have a condition, we have opportunities that are very unique, very precious, because they can bring a lot of benefit if used correctly. And we have an opportunity that at the same time is very, very rare. It's very difficult to find. Buddha Shakyamuni described that a life with all the necessary conditions to practice the spiritual path correctly is as difficult to find as one turtle that lives deep in the ocean. The turtle is blind and deaf, okay? And the turtle comes out to take air once every 100 years. And on the ocean there is one floating circle, golden floating circle, that is free on the ocean, going around with the current. What is the probabilities that the turtle will put its head inside the golden circle? That are the probabilities to have all the necessary conditions for a good spiritual path and practice, which we have. Which doesn't make us better than others. Huh? We are not better than someone that don't have these conditions. We just have better conditions. We need to make a good use of it. So it's not like, oh, how special I am. No, it's how special conditions I have. I cannot let them go. I cannot lose this opportunity. So by this way, this is an analytical meditation on the preciousness of this life. We are analyzing why this life is precious, why it's so difficult to find, how come it's so rare. We are analyzing until we get to the conclusion, like the conclusion of an equation, which is this strong, deep, inner sensation, oh, this life, it's so special, I cannot waste it. Okay? Once we reach into that inner experience, inner feeling, which is not conceptual. It starts from conceptual, but then it goes down and we feel through our whole body and heart, this life is too precious, I cannot waste it. I must use it very well. And there is joy within it. Wow, it's so special. Why me? I don't know, but here I am. I cannot lose this opportunity. When we reach there, then we stay single-pointed into that experience. We keep our attention single-pointed, concentrated into that experience. That's when we meditate on the preciousness of this life. Okay. So, the more we do it, the more it will become part of us, until it's something spontaneous. Okay. So, this is the first two types of meditation which we started yesterday, which is the analytical meditation and single-pointed meditation. Is it clear? The difference between the two? Okay. What we explained yesterday was the breathing techniques, which is a way for us to start training our mind to remain in one object and not to go jumping from one object to the other. And as we said many times, our mind functions out of habit. It's like a muscle. Our brain is like a muscle. If we use it in a certain way, it would get used to go in that way. If you use it in another way, it would get used to be in another way. And right now, our mind is used to go from one object to the other. So we need to train it in the opposite way. That's why we need to do a lot of breathing meditation and single-pointed concentration in order to train our mind to stay in one object. Once our mind is trained to stay in one object, then we can choose the objects. The object can be the preciousness of this life. And the more we are able to meditate on it, what we will be doing is, by doing first the analytical meditation and then the single-pointed meditation, we are inducing ourselves into a certain state of consciousness and familiarizing ourselves with it. In other words, we are doing an emotional education to ourselves. Because the feeling that this life is precious doesn't come automatically, spontaneously. So we induce ourselves to it in an artificial way through the analytical meditation. And once we feel it, it's sincere, it's not fake. And then we familiarize ourselves with it. So, one of the very special aspects of Buddhist teachings is that we can educate ourselves on an emotional level. So we can train ourselves and we can educate ourselves in patience. We can educate ourselves and train ourselves in generosity, in stability, in gratitude, in so many beautiful things. Okay? So when we talk about meditation, it's the capacity to familiarize ourselves with a certain state of consciousness, with a certain object, to be more precise. And the objects that we want to familiarize ourselves with are states of consciousness that we want to have spontaneously. But before it comes spontaneously, we need to repeat it again and again. Okay. Now, there is a third type of meditation, which in Tibetan is called Shargom. Shargom, Shar means to rise. Like the sun rising is called Shar, it's the same word. Okay? Shar also means east, literally. But it means to rise. So Shargom is the meditation of rising, which basically is the one in which we familiarize ourselves not with the specific objects, but with the process. So let's say I would do one Shargom meditation on my daily activities from that moment I wake up to when I go out of the house. So what do? Okay, first I listen to the alarm clock. Then I turn off the alarm clock. Then I stand up. Then first I sit. I do some prayers that generate the motivation. Then I stand up. I go to the toilet. Then I wash myself. Then I come back, make the offerings, do prostration, sit, meditate, have breakfast, prepare breakfast, have breakfast, then I go out of the house. Okay? So I am not entering into details on every step, but I am imagining one step after the other. Okay? It's more or less similar when we have a GPS for the car, a navigator, and we put on the navigator, I want to go from here to there, and we see it first, the map. It's possible in most navigators to simulate the trip, and it will show you one step after the other. So similar to that, we do an inner simulation of the path that we will follow. Okay? So this is called Shargom, and it's very important because it helps us to familiarize with all the steps that we will follow. Okay? So, in the preliminary practices that we do, and later also, we do all these 3 types of meditation. They are all present, actually. We have reached now the point in which we have cleaned the place, prepared the altar, prepared the seat, sat correctly in the right position, prepared the body, prepared the mind through breathing meditation, and we bring our mind to a neutral state. Now, we need to start to generate the correct motivation. Okay? We need to start to generate artificially a positive state of mind which doesn't come spontaneously for most of us. Okay? So, what is the state of mind that we want to develop? It's called refuge, the first one. And refuge comes together with what we call love towards ourselves. Okay? So first thing that we need to do in order to be able to take refuge correctly and to generate the first state of mind is we go through an analytical meditation. And this analytical meditation has few steps. We can do it briefly or we can do it in a more extensive way. Okay? But in the practice, before we do the analytical meditation, first we create the context to help us on our own analytical meditation. So we will first do a visualization. Okay? So when we do the practice in the morning, after the breathing meditation, there is a moment in which I start explaining. We visualize Guru Buddha in front of us. Okay? So this is the moment in which, before we do the actual analytical meditation in order to take refuge, we first visualize Guru Buddha, which means we visualize in front of us a beautiful throne upheld by 8 lions with a sun and a moon, with a lotus seat, a sun and a moon cushion, above which is Guru Buddha. We call Guru Buddha because it is inseparable from our gurus and from all Buddhas. One is inseparable from the other. And we visualize in this moment, when we take refuge, in the aspect of Buddha Shakyamuni. So imagine like the image of Buddha sitting in front of us, that is inseparable of all the Buddhas of all the directions. It's inseparable of every holy being. So it's like the embodiment of everything that is sacred and pure. Okay. We could go into many details. This visualization can be simple and it can be very complex if we want. Okay. Traditionally, often it's giving the very complex visualization. But what I see is that for us, in the context in which we are, I don't know how many of us can make a very complex visualization. By complex, I mean there is Buddha Shakyamuni in the center. Then there is one enormous big throne, like more or less the size of a square football field, okay? Soccer field. Then you have on the center, there is Buddha Shakyamuni. Then you have 4 thrones on each one of the 4 sides. Then on one throne is Manjushri, on the other throne is Maitreya, on one throne is Vajradhara, on the other throne is one's own root guru. And then together with them, there are all the other lineage gurus of the profound lineage and the extensive lineage. And then we have all the different yidams, and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and all the gurus that from which we had received teachings of Dharma. It's like, and then around there are all the other Dakas, Dakinis, protectors of the Dharma, are hundreds hundreds of people there, okay? So I think it's quite complex. Then together with each one of the gurus of the lineage, where they are sitting, there is a little table nearby them in which there are the books that they have written. So we should know how many volumes each one have written. And all the volumes are there. Like so many little details that, okay, forget about it, okay? When we look at the image of the field of merit that is called of the Guru Puja, it's one example of it. For me, it's overwhelming, it's too much. So there is one tradition which is called in Tibetan Kundu Norbu Luk. Kundu Norbu Luk means the tradition of the jewel that condenses all that is precious into one, in which we visualize one image that represents everything else. Okay? So in this case, we visualize in front of us, in the aspect of Buddha Shakyamuni, we can imagine that in the space around us, we are surrounded by so many holy beings. Like here we have, in the space around us, you can see all the gurus of the lineage, and there are the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and all holy beings surrounding us. And in front of us is mainly we focus in Guru Buddha. It's important for us to imagine that Buddha is truly present in front of us, okay? And that Guru Buddha is smiling at us. Okay? Then we can go into many levels of details, or we can have a more general visualization without entering into so many details, okay? I'm not going to enter now into many details because I think that's not the main point for most of us. Okay? It is possible to go into very, very, very little details of the visualization. And for a long time I thought that this was whoever is going to do practice like this. That's too much. No? And then one day I was in Tibet receiving teachings from my guru there, the abbot of Tashilumpo, Kachin Losam Phunso Rinpoche. And then while I was receiving these personal teachings, one of his elder disciples arrived. And he asked permission to enter, and he said, sorry, they have one question of Dharma. And he said, oh, please come in. He said, okay, excuse me. I said, I go. He said, no, you can stay. So I was there, and then they start talking. And it was about the visualization of the field of merit during the Guru Puja. And the question were about some minimum details. And it was so beautiful to see two people that, by the way they were talking, they were able to do this complete visualization with all the details, and it was the most normal thing, you know. And then the disciple had some doubts about some specific visualizations, and then my guru was explaining to him, and then it was done, no? But we start with very simple, okay? So we visualize a throne upheld by 8 lions. To have a very clear image, when you go to Rinpoche's stupa, you can see there are the lions on the 4 sides with a double vajra, okay? Then there is like a lotus flower, okay? That's the throne. Then after that, the stupa becomes on the top part, but that's the first part of the throne. So imagine a beautiful throne upheld by 8 lions. Then there is a lotus flower, big lotus flower with a sun cushion and a moon cushion. On top of that is Guru Buddha, seated cross-legged, with the right hand with the mudra touching the ground, the left hand in the mudra of meditation, and Guru Buddha smiles at us. Okay, from Guru Buddha's heart, there is like a beautiful aura of multicolored light that expands through his whole body, going through all the universe, and we feel like embraced by that aura. Okay, we feel blessed and we feel embraced by it. The other day, a few days ago, I went to do an exam, and the exam was, I don't know how to call it in English, magnetic resonance. I don't know what's the precise name in English, but it was an interesting experience. It was in my hand. But when it makes these very loud noises, because I think it's the frequencies of sound that go in to make the picture of part of the body, but you could feel in the body, like depending of the sound, I could feel the vibrations entering into the hand, no? So this reminds me, when we do the visualization, it's like the light of the auric body coming towards us, and we feel it physically. That it's pleasurable, but we feel like embraced by it, and it expands through all sentient beings. Okay? So there we are seated. We focus in front of us on Guru Buddha, smiling at us, this beautiful multicolor light expanding everywhere, and we feel completely embraced by it. So we feel protected, loved, cared for. Okay. Once we do the visualization, then we start the analytical meditation on the Four Noble Truths. That's the first thing to do. Okay? So, for the visualization itself, is it okay? It's clear like this? Without entering into many other details. We could add details to it, but I think it's okay like this. Right? Okay. So, normally in the explanations of the practice, it's given more emphasis to the visualization and less emphasis to the analytical meditation in a way. I like to do a little bit different this time. Okay? So, there we are. We're in front of Guru Buddha. So we imagine that we are not in the place where we are now. We imagine we are in front of Guru Buddha. Okay? And then we shift our attention from Guru Buddha in front of us to our own self. And we start observing our own selves. And we recognize within us this deep, strong wish to be happy and not to suffer. We look upon ourselves and we recognize this force that is inside of us. This strong desire to be happy and not to suffer that we all have. Okay? And we are not judging, we are just observing. And once we recognize this, the first thing that we do is we question ourselves, but what is suffering? What do I really need to avoid? And as we ask ourselves what is suffering, first we observe the suffering of suffering, which means we observe physical suffering, mental suffering, and very clearly we say, I don't want this. I don't want to repeat this cycle of suffering constantly. And here we can go into details and observe all the different types of suffering that exist. Some that we experience in our lives, some that we are not experiencing now, but we have experienced somewhere in the past that we remember or we don't remember, and we might experience in the future. So we go through what is called the general and specific sufferings of samsara. So the suffering of heat, the suffering of cold, the suffering of pain, the suffering of loneliness, the suffering of going through violence, and so on. Okay? And we develop this strong wish, I don't want this suffering at all. Okay? Then we go to observe another level, which is there are pleasures in life, but that cannot sustain a state of well-being, which are called the suffering of change. Okay? Many of you have gone through the knowledge and the teachings of understanding what means the suffering of change. In very few words, we look upon the pleasures of the body, the pleasures of gaining material things, the pleasures of recognition of our image, and so on. And we look to these things, which are called mundane pleasures, and we ask ourselves, but is this enough? Can this truly bring me a state of well-being, or is just a momentary pleasure and then suffering just re-manifests again? And we say, that's not enough for me. I must overcome it also. Then we look the third type of suffering, which is called the all-pervasive suffering. and we observe our own self, our own body and mind, and we see clearly that our body and our mind are polluted by ignorance, by selfishness, by anger, by sadness, by attachment, by insatisfaction, by fear, by all our defilements, and also polluted by the negative karmic forces of our actions of the past. Okay? And then we can see very clearly, we looked upon ourselves and say, as long as I am in this situation, there will be suffering. It's just a matter of manifesting or not manifesting, but suffering will manifest sooner or later. It's like when we have a certain sickness, there are moments in which the symptoms manifest and moments in which the symptoms don't manifest. But it's not because the symptoms are not manifesting that the sickness is not there. It's just a moment of pause. And then the symptoms sooner or later will come back again. It's like this. As long as we are, our being, body and mind, is polluted with ignorance, in which we grasp at reality in a way that reality is not. As long as we are taken by our selfishness, this obsession with self-gratification, and we react with anger and unlimited attachment and insatisfaction and jealousy, envy, fear, and so on, inevitably, sooner or later, suffering will manifest. Physical and mental suffering will manifest. Okay? This is called the all-pervasive suffering. So we come to the conclusion that it doesn't matter the rest. I must get rid of the all-pervasive suffering. I don't want enough, it's not enough just to get rid of the symptoms. I must get rid of the sickness. Is this clear? Okay? And the sickness is called samsara. So we see samsara, which is the all-pervasive suffering, is this inner cycle of defilements, actions, and result. And we look to it and we get somehow disgusted and say, no, enough, I don't want it anymore. But we go through this process and we observe it until we are very clearly saying, it doesn't matter what happens, I truly do not want anymore to be in this state. So the objective here is to reach the all-pervasive suffering, to see the all-pervasive suffering as suffering. When we reach there, the momentary physical or mental suffering are not that important anymore. What we want is to get out completely of the sickness, not just to eliminate the symptom. Once we reach this, then we go to the next question. But why am I in this state? What are the causes of this sickness? What are the causes of all-pervasive suffering? And there we see clearly that the causes of all-pervasive suffering is our own ignorance, that reality appears to us as being objective when actually it is subjective, and we grasp at it as if it was objective, that reality appears to us as being independent of everything when actually it is interdependent, and we relate to it as if it was independent. Consequently, we act out of selfishness. We are obsessed with the I and the my, and consequently we have anger, jealousy, arrogance, miserliness, and so on. And with this we act, which we call karma. So the actions bring result. So what are the causes of samsara? Defilements and karma. I don't want that anymore. In the all-pervasive suffering, we focus mainly, in the first part, we focus mainly into seeing that We have no possibility not to suffer as long as we are into this situation. So I want to get out of this situation. This brings us to the second question: what is this situation? Why am I here? Why do I suffer? What are the causes of it? And we can see clearly that the causes are not external conditions. It's not where I am, with whom I am, that generates my suffering. The suffering is caused deeply by ignorance, that manifests through selfishness, that manifests as anger, unlimited attachment, insatisfaction, and so on, through which we act. And we create these karmic forces, these inertias that comes with us. So we look at it and very strongly we say, I want to stop this cycle. I don't want this anymore. So once again we look at samsara, not from the point of view of the result, but of the cause, and we say, I must stop this crazy cycle. I truly do not want it anymore. Okay. So what do I want? This comes to the third question of our analysis. And in this moment, we allow ourselves to imagine what would we want. It's like if I am sick, I see the symptoms and I say, I don't want that anymore. Then we look at the actual sickness and we say, I don't want that state of unbalance anymore. And then we see the causes of the sickness and we say, I must avoid the causes of the sickness. But what is the state of health that I want to reach? And then I allow myself to imagine myself healthy. So at this moment, as we are meditating, first we generate this thought of aversion towards samsara. Then in a moment, we allow ourselves to imagine how would it be if we have reached nirvana? How would it be if we could just be in peace and harmony with oneself and others? How would it be, how our life would be if we had no more anger, fear, attachment, miserliness, selfishness, ignorance? How would our life be if we could be in harmony with ourselves and everything else? How would be our life if we could be in peace with ourselves and others? If we could love others in the same way as we love ourselves? If we could be in full state of satisfaction? Okay? So we allow ourselves to imagine that. And as we imagine ourselves in nirvana, we start to generate inside of us a strong desire. I must reach that state. And this somehow makes us an inner smile, saying, okay, that's what I want. That's the direction that I want to go. And then we say that, then once we have this certainty, I want to reach nirvana, that's clear, that's what I want. And nirvana is not a place. It's an inner state. We imagine ourselves as a Buddha. We imagine ourselves out of the cycle of samsara with our qualities fully developed. And we say, wow. It's like we are overwhelmed by the idea. And then we develop this inner aspiration, like a strong desire. I want it so much. Once we reach that desire, we go to the fourth part of the analysis, in which we say, what do I need to do to reach that? Okay, I need to abandon what is harmful, the mental defilements. I need to abandon a non-virtue attitude of body, speech, and mind. I need to develop love towards myself and cultivate that which is virtuous and positive. I need to develop love towards others. I need to develop a correct view of reality. There are different steps to follow on the path. Okay? I need to see the preciousness of this life, be aware of my own impermanence, be aware of the law of karma, and so on. And as we see that there is a path to follow in front of us, we wish strongly to walk on that path, to reach the state of nirvana. And we develop an inner feeling that I can make it. It is possible. Okay? And this comes by imagining ourselves in the state of nirvana. We must do that part of imagining ourselves having reached nirvana. And once we've imagined it, then we come a little bit back to our present state and we say, okay, but to go there, what's the path that I need to do? Then we focus. There is a path that Buddha have shown us, which we call the Dharma. But after that, we come in our analysis and we ask ourselves, but can I do that just by myself? Or do I need help? And then we come to the conclusion that I cannot go to places that I have never been without someone showing me the path. So, oh Guru Buddha, please help me. And when we ask for help, we are not asking, please take me out of suffering and samsara. We're asking, please guide me on the path. Please show me which steps I need to do and be by my side as I do these steps. Please take me hand by hand. Your eyes are open as you are not blinded by ignorance anymore. I am still blind by my own ignorance and selfishness, so I cannot see beyond my own selfishness. So please take me hand by hand and show me every step I need to do. I take refuge in the Guru. I take refuge in the Buddha that show me the path. Please help me. Please guide me. Please show me the path. Then I take refuge in the Dharma, the actual path. So we imagine that Guru Buddha guides us and he accepts our request of refuge. And he gives us the path. And once we receive the method, we receive the path to walk, we take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge as I walk on the path. It's like I request for a healing method, and once I receive the treatment, I take refuge in the treatment. How? By taking the medicines, by doing the exercises, by changing my lifestyle, whatever is part of the treatment. So I take refuge in the Dharma, from the view, from the conduct, and from the meditation perspective. So I take refuge in Dharma. Then, as I walk on this path, I take refuge in the Sangha, which is the company that will give me support during my path, because it's not a path that I walk in one day. It's a long process. And in this long process, we need help, we need support. It's not something that just goes like this. So Guru Buddha will be there to show us the path. The path will be there to be followed, and the methods are there for us to apply them and to take refuge in the Dharma. But we still need the support during our path, the company and support during our journey. And that's when we take refuge in the Sangha. Okay? Because for us to follow the path to reach the state of Nirvana, we need the Guru. That is the embodiment of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha for us. We need the Buddha that shows us the path. We need the path to follow, and we need the company and support during our path. Okay? So in this moment, that's when, once we have reached this inner state in which we reach the conclusion, I need help, so please Guru Buddha help me. I take refuge in the Guru, I take refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in the Dharma, I take refuge in the Sangha. Remembering that take refuge is not a word that I say. It's like I rely upon. It's like when I take a medicine. I am sick, I take refuge in the doctor. I go to the doctor and I ask for help. It's not a formality. I take refuge in the medicine. I follow the treatment. And I take refuge in the nurses and other people that accompany me in my process of healing. I ask them for help. I rely upon their support. So we rely upon the Guru and the Buddha. We rely upon the Dharma. We rely upon the Sangha. And when we develop this strong feeling inside of us, then we verbalize it. And we recite, Namo Gurubhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Okay? And in this moment, we just focus. We have done, let's say, the analytical meditation is completed. And we just focus into this strong inner state of taking refuge, which comprehends many things within it. There is, first of all, the wish to get out of samsara, inside of it. Because I take refuge from what? I take refuge from samsara. Why do I take refuge? Because I want to reach nirvana, this deep state of inner peace. And where do I take refuge? Where do I ask for help? In the Buddha that shows me the path, in the Dharma, the actual path to follow, and in the Sangha, the company during my journey. And in the Guru, that is the embodiment of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, in flesh and bone there to help me. So I take refuge, I ask for help from the depths of my heart because I trust myself that I can reach that goal, but I need help. I will walk with my legs, but I need help. So we generate this inner state of taking refuge. And then we focus on that state of mind, and we visualize that Guru Buddha in front of us smiles at us, and silently, with the smile, he accepts our request of refuge. So Guru Buddha simply smiles, and with the smile, it's a non-verbal way of saying, I accept your request. I am here for you. And in this moment, we can even focus on this deep connection of love, gratitude, trust between us and Guru Buddha. And then, from the crown chakra, white light emanates of Guru Buddha going to our own crown chakra. From the throat, red light goes to our throat chakra. From the heart of Guru Buddha, blue light goes to our heart. From the navel, yellow light goes to our navel. And from the Sikra chakra, green light goes to our own Sikra chakra. And in this way, we are receiving all the blessings of Guru Buddha, which is the embodiment of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And refuge is granted, so we are being guided, we have the Dharma to follow, we have the company on our path. So we feel loved, we feel guided, we feel protected, we feel blessed. And the blessings, as the lights comes towards us, how can I explain it? It's like if we receive light with a certain frequency. And we start vibrating ourselves also with the same frequency. It's like when we are near to someone that is very joyful and suddenly we start to feel joy ourselves. Or we are near to someone that is very sad and we start to feel sadness ourselves. We are not taking the joy from the person towards us. We are not taking the sadness of the person towards us, but we are being influenced. And we are generating ourselves joy and ourselves sadness. Similar to that, we allow ourselves to be influenced by Guru Buddha. So as the lights come, it will revitalize our inner qualities. such as wisdom, satisfaction, concentration, love, compassion, humility, generosity, certainty in our own actions, rejoicing. If we know well self-healing, we can connect with the qualities related to our 5 chakras as the light are coming. So as our qualities are revitalized, naturally, as the light goes in, the darkness goes out. So as the qualities are revitalized, the defilements fade away. Okay? And as we visualize this, we recite Namo Gurubhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Okay? So we can recite it singing, we can recite it without singing, we can recite it in Sanskrit as we just did, we can recite it in Tibetan, there is the way, or we could even say in English or in Italian or any language. We can say, I go for refuge in the Guru, I go for refuge in the Buddha, I go for refuge in the Dharma, I go for refuge in the Sangha. Okay? Or we could just say in Tibetan, the language doesn't matter. The important thing is to make this connection, okay? And to generate this inner state in which what we are developing here is first of all love towards ourselves. When is the moment in which we developed the love towards ourselves in the process of taking refuge? When we imagine ourselves in nirvana. When we imagine ourselves in this profound state of peace and we say, I can make it. That's what I want. Because love means to wish for happiness. And in this analytical meditation, we are making a very, radical change. Because in our normal life, what do we want? A comfortable samsara, or we want nirvana? We want to live in a comfortable world, having our own defilements and everything. We want the world to be different, or we want to overcome our defilements and reach a deeper state of peace that is independent of the conditions in which we are. Normally, we want a comfortable samsara. And here we are saying, no, that's not enough. And we are changing our objective. We are making clear to ourselves, what do I want? I want to be in peace with myself and others, independently of where I am, with whom I am, in what situation I am. And I believe that I can make it. And there is a path to do it. There is a way to get there. And I can make it. And I will follow every step necessary to reach there. It's a very profound and strong statement that we do to ourselves. Okay? It's very important to give some time when we take refuge, not just to start reciting, but to go through the analytical process of reflecting upon the Four Noble Truths. What is suffering? What do I want to avoid? Why do I suffer? What is happiness? What do I want? How do I get there? Okay. So, we could add other aspects in this analytical meditation, but I think that in this way, like this for the moment, it's quite good, no? Are the steps clear? See? Okay. So, we could add one more thing in it, which is, as we see that we want to reach nirvana, before taking actual refuge, We look upon ourselves and we say, wow, how fortunate I am in the conditions that I have. We look at the preciousness of this life and we say, wow, I have the conditions now. If not now, when? If not me, who? If I don't take truly refuge now, if I don't go now on the path, if I don't follow the path and I don't practice the Dharma deeply now, then when will I do it? When I am about to die? When I will be sick? Because I am going to die. So the next step before taking refuge is we make a small analytical meditation on the preciousness of this life, and then we add an analytical meditation on the certainty of death and the certainty of the uncertainty of the moment of death. And we say to ourselves, wow, I know what I want. I have the best opportunities to get there, to do something about it. But I'm going to die. And that's not a joke. And I have no idea when. I have no idea when I am going to die. So, I have no time to waste. I have no 1 day, 1 minute to waste. I don't know when I'm going to die, so I must take refuge now. I must practice the Dharma. I must walk on the right path now, not wait 1 day, sometime, who knows when. So I go for refuge now. Okay? So to familiarize ourselves with the idea of we generate the preciousness of this life, we generate the awareness of our own mortality, impermanence, and this gives us the strength to say, I must do it now, and then we take refuge. Okay? It is common that to do the practice, we can do our practice, and we can give time to this moment of taking refuge, and we just stay in it. We don't need to do all the rest of the practice. We can just do the refuge and finish taking refuge. We do the dedications and conclude. Okay? There is one part of the practice which is called making retreat on refuge, in which we do 100,000 times the recitation of refuge. So basically, we go through the whole analytical meditation, and as we reach the result, we go Namo Guru Bhye, and we do Namo Guru Bhye, 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 Namo Guru Bhye. And we focus into the attitude of taking refuge in the Guru, that is the physical embodiment of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, here to help me. So we focus on it, and we stay in it. Then, after some recitations, we can start, for example, by doing one mala. Then after one mala, then we go Namo Buddhaya, and we focus on the qualities of the Buddha, the importance of needing to be shown the path. And we're requesting Guru Buddha to show us the path. And then we go Namo Buddhaya. And we do one mala or many malas, whatever amount we want, of Namo Buddhaya. Then we take refuge in the Dharma. We focus on the refuge in the Dharma. And then we do Namo Dharmaya. And we can recite many times. And then we focus on the refuge on the Sangha. And we do Namo Sanghaya again many times. Okay? We'll just look here, there are some details of it. Let me just look 1 second. Okay. One thing first. There is, basically, when we talk about refuge, there are 3 different types of refuge. Okay? There is what is called Hinayana refuge, which is what I have explained up to now. In the Hinayana refuge, we take refuge from samsara. And we want to get out of samsara. Then there is Mahayana refuge. In Mahayana refuge, we always take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha in the same way, but we want to get out of samsara in order to help others to get out of samsara. Our main object when we take refuge from what? From samsara in general of every sentient being, not only ours. So the main difference is that when we look upon the suffering and the suffering of change and the all-pervasive suffering, we wish to get out of samsara, but then we look around us and we see all other sentient beings. We see our father, our mother, our families, everyone around, and there are countless beings around us, and they are all in the same situation as us. So we also want them to get out of samsara, not only us. So then when we go for refuge and we do the visualization and so on, we imagine upon ourselves and upon all of them together. We are like the speaker on their behavior, portavoce. We are speaking on their behavior, on their side. So we are taking for refuge and we imagine that everyone together go for refuge in the same way. Okay? This is when we enter into the Mahayana refuge. The Vajrayana refuge, it's a little bit more complex. We are not going to go into details on it right now. But the Vajrayana refuge, the difference is that the 3 objects of refuge, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, are slightly different. Basically, instead of taking refuge in the Buddha, we take refuge directly in the Guru. Instead of taking refuge in the Dharma, we take refuge in the Yidam. And the refuge in the Sangha becomes the refuge in the Dakas and Dakinis. It's the same thing with a different approach. Okay? So basically, in the Vajrayana, Buddha and the Guru are the same. Our own practice and method to enlightenment, which is called the Yidam, for example, the practice of Tara, the practice of Yamantaka, and so on, the whole system that we follow is the Dharma, which is called the Yidam. And the company in our path, we do not rely only upon our physical friends of the Dharma friends, but we also rely on subtle beings that accompany us on our path, which are called Dakas and Dakinis. Okay? So this is one of the differences when we do the Vajrayana refuge. Okay? But now we focus on Mahayana refuge in this moment. So as we do it, we will focus on our practice in the Mahayana refuge, remembering that the Mahayana refuge cannot exist without the Hinayana refuge first. So first, I wish to get out of samsara. First thing. Then I look upon others and I say, oh, not only me, they are in the same situation. I want everybody to get out of this situation, not only me. Okay? This is what we add on it. Then the lights and nectar goes to us and at the same time goes to all other sentient beings. So when we do the practice, we can do the refuge all at once. Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, Guru, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, or we can recite it separately. Okay? When we recite it separately, when we first do Namo Guru Bye, we can do 3 times, or we can do 7 times, or 21 times, or 108 times. We can do as many times as we want. Okay? So what do we focus on this? Here there is one part in which Phabongkha Rinpoche put into form of recitation and it says, Lama Tube Wambodam, Lama Tube Wambo Thakor Gengogyo Lama Namgi Kui Chale Dutse Nang Aweser Dan Chebek Yumba, Branche Simjendam Jegi Lusen La Shoba, Toma Meba Sabane, Digbadan Tribada, Kebra to Pandelame Kula Duba, Kuduba, Son Chaba, Totropa, Mateba, Nyeme Giba La, Sobadona Lama La Tempediti Tamche, Tu Kurdan, Suku, Nambara, Wangpo, Godan, Pabo, Tamchene, Chiret, and the Sante, Lutanse Vugiranshin to Gur, Sedan, Sonam, Longdo, Gyenten Tamche, Pelshinge, Kebra, Pandelame Kusun Togi, Chinlap Tamche, Ranshin, Simchen Tamche, Lusem La Shukbe, Pandelame, Kyabu to Chubara, Gyur. So, as we take refuge in the Guru, we focus first in this feeling, this deep feeling of trust and love and gratitude that exists between us and our own Guru, inseparable of all Buddhas. But now we are focusing in the relation with the Guru. So we focus on the feeling of trust, gratitude, love, and first we focus on that. As we recite Namo Guru Bye, I take refuge in the Guru, or Lama La Kyapsu Chiu in Tibetan, for us it's easier to recite in Sanskrit. Namo Guru Bye, okay? In Tibetan it's Lama La Kyapsu Chiu, which is I take refuge in the Guru. We visualize the light and nectar coming from the 5 chakras of Guru Buddha into our own 5 chakras. As the lights of the 5 colors go into our 5 chakras, first it eliminates all sort of negativities, especially the negativities that we have created in relation to our own Guru. So imagine that as the light comes in, whatever blockages, whatever forms, for example, lack of trust, maybe we didn't keep correctly our commitments. Here it's very specific, which it says here, so it says, if we have ever harmed our Guru physically, if we have Sung Chakpa, it means like we have disturbed his speech. We make the Guru nervous and then he needs to speak in a harsh way or something like that. Tuk Trukpa, we make the Guru in an unease state in his mind. Okay? Tuk Trukpa literally means to shake the mind. Mateba, we have lacked faith, lacked respect, lacked gratitude, lacked trust. Okay, had negative thoughts of whatever, judged with jealousy or envy or who knows what, anger. So any form of a negative interdependence in a negative relation that was there from our side towards Guru Buddha, we imagine that all the negative force, the karma that was generated by that actions, those that we are aware and those that we are not aware, they are completely pacified. Okay? So it's like if between us and our Guru there is somewhere where the connection is not clear, this lack of clarity goes away and the connection becomes pure and stable. Okay? So this we do and we focus on it. Maybe there are some things that we remember, there are things that we do not remember. We shall not at all generate a feeling of guilt, not at all. It's like when there is a friend. There are moments in which we may have some conflict with that friend. And then there are doubts, and maybe there is aversion or sadness or something connected. So first we need to pacify that. So similar to that, we have our Guru in front of us, and whatever sort of negativities we may have created in the past that are still there, everything is completely pacified. As we do Namo Guru Bye, 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 Namo Guru Bye. And all the negativities that have been there, as the light goes in, they go out from the porousness of our body and the lower parts of our body in the form of dirt and smoke that dissolves into space. So it just goes out, all the negativities, until our body becomes pure like crystal. Our body becomes clean, clear, and we are free from any of these negativities. The most important things, more than imagining our body clear, like crystal, is we feel that there is no any other more negativity between us and Guru Buddha. Between us and our Guru, it's completely clear. There is no any sort of negativity left. There is pure love, trust, gratitude, faith. The connection is pure. We focus on that. Okay? Through that, we imagine that all our qualities are revitalized. Our body becomes healthy and strong. Our mind becomes stable, joyful, and peaceful. Our merits increase. All our qualities increase. And we receive the blessings of body, speech, and mind of Guru Buddha. So when we say we receive the blessings, is we are strongly influenced by the energy of the body, the speech, and the mind of Guru Buddha. So our body starts to become like the body of Guru Buddha. Our mind, our speech starts to become like the speech of Guru Buddha. Our mind starts to become like the mind of Guru Buddha. It's like we start becoming overwhelmed by the presence of Guru Buddha in this sense. And in this way, we see that as we receive the blessings, we are carefully, with love, under the care and the refuge of our own Guru. So we see clear and we feel being protected, being guided, being under the care of the Guru. Okay? So this is what we imagine as we do Namo Guru Bhye. Okay? Clear? Okay? After that, we do the next part, which is Namo Buddhaya. Okay? And as we recite Namo Buddhaya, we can do, which in Tibetan is Sangye La Kyapsu Chiu, or I take refuge in the Buddha. Namo Buddhaya, we can recite it 3 times, 7 times, 21 times, 108 times, 1,000 times. It depends, okay? And as we recite it, I will just go to the text also here. It says, Gyawa dorje chanda, Gyawa dorje chan, Tagor gi, Sande jigsum ki, Samde jigsum ke, Kedor tuyukor, Kelsange sange tong, Sange sumju songa la sobe kuchale, Dutsi nanga, Kebratu deshin sheba kula, Ngen semgi trak chunga, Tuki, Che ten shikba la soba dona sange, Kyapsu songe, Kyamdro lapcha dangawe dikte tamche chanshida lue tangsek tokyur kebratu sange kuncho gi chinlap tamche ranshen semche tamche gi lue semla shukpes sange kuncho gi kyawe tu chupara kyur. So as we recite Namo Buddhaya, in this text the description is with a very complete visualization, okay? Where we have the Guru in the center, then we have the Buddha, and we have the Yidam, and so on. But we are visualizing just our Guru in the front, inseparable of all Buddhas. So we focus on the Guru being inseparable of all Buddhas, and we request clearly, Guru Buddha, please guide me on the path to enlightenment. Please show me the path. That's the function of a Buddha. It's showing us the path. It's guiding us on the path. So please show me on the path. You, that is inseparable of my Guru, but please, Buddha, show me the path. And in this way, again, light and nectar emanates from the 5 chakras to our 5 chakras, purifying any negativities there may be between us and the Buddha. Any time that we didn't keep correctly our commitments, any time that in the past we may have ever harmed a holy being, like there is the remote possibility that in some life, somewhere, we may have harmed physically one emanation of a Buddha. So whatever negativity there may be from our side towards the Buddha, it's all pacified. So imagine, maybe there is not. In the doubt, we purify. So imagine that it becomes very clearly, the relation between us and the Buddha becomes strong. We receive the blessings of the Buddha, And this commitment to follow the path, and at the same time, the trust in the Buddha that will guide us on the correct path to enlightenment. And we feel from the side of Guru Buddha the commitment to guide us on the path to enlightenment. And we make that stronger. Okay. So, once again, light and nectar from the 5 chakras of Guru Buddha to our 5 chakras and to that of all sentient beings. And we feel that we have been granted refuge as we connect ourselves to the Buddha, and we say, please guide me on the path to enlightenment. We remember ourselves that the Buddha is not only the historical Buddha, Shakyamuni, but the Buddha is a state. It's the state of enlightenment. It's a state of beyond one's own ignorance and defilements, a state with one's qualities fully developed. And we see our own Guru inseparable of all Buddhas, and we focus in that aspect, and we say, please, Guru Buddha, help me. Please show me the path. And we feel loved, we feel cared, we feel protected, that Guru Buddha is guiding us on the path. Okay? And as we do this, we recite Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. We can also focus in this moment in the qualities of the Buddha. We can focus in the qualities. The Buddha is someone that have overcome all the defilements, that have overcome one's own ignorance and selfishness, have developed full awareness of reality, wisdom, have a full compassion of all sentient beings in a complete altruistic way, have developed his qualities to the maximum potential in every aspect. So we focus on the qualities of the Buddha. For example, the qualities of the body of the Buddha is that the body of the Buddha is in perfect balance and it's able to be of benefit for those that enter in contact with it. The speech of the Buddha has the capacity to communicate with everyone in accordance to their needs and capacities. And is able to show the Dharma to everyone independently of whom they are, adapting to their own capacities. The mind of the Buddha is omniscient, can see and perceive every phenomena without exception. Okay? So we think about the qualities of the Buddha in every aspect, and we say, please Buddha, you are the one that can help me, so please guide me. And we feel that this request of refuge is accepted. After that, we say Namo Dharmaya, and as we recite Namo Dharmaya, we take refuge in the Dharma. So when we did Namo Buddhaya, we feel that Guru Buddha accepts to guide us on the path. Now, as we do Namo Dharmaya, we continue to have the light and nectar coming. And as the light and nectar are coming to us, we feel that it's coming from the teachings, it's coming from the Dharma. As the light and nectar is bringing us all the teachings of the Dharma. So it's like the moment in which we are taking refuge in the actual, like following the metaphor, in the actual treatment, in the actual medicine. Okay? So it's like we are receiving the medicine, we are receiving all the tools in our hand. And as we take refuge, it becomes ours. And we say, yes, I am under the refuge of the Dharma. I am being granted refuge. Now it's in my hands and I can do it, I will practice it, but we feel that we are under the care of the Dharma. It's like, imagine that we go to the best doctor and we go out of the, after meeting the doctor, and we have the best medicines in our hand. And we know what treatment we need to follow, and we have everything in our hands. So there is this strong confidence, I can get cured. I have the best treatment with me. Okay? And then we are ready, we start taking the first pills or whatever, and we say, okay, yeah, I can cure myself. So there is this strong feeling of confidence. We do this as we do the Namo Dharmaya. Okay? I will just read once again here. Normally, when we do the complete visualization, we visualize the light and nectar coming from the Dharma texts when we take refuge in the Dharma. But here we do everything with Guru Buddha in front of us, always from the 5 chakras, light coming to our own 5 chakras. Okay? Son raba, son de chene, son rab ge lu seba, son rab, son ra sa treba la shuba la zaba dona chöden la dik che tamche chanshe da lu se kong yang taba tabar to, yang taba tabar gyur, ke bara chö kuncho ge chinla tan shiran se chende jang ge lu sen la shube, kuncho ge kyabu tu chubra gyur. Whatever negativity there may be from us by not following correct the Dharma, by not respecting the teachings, by not keeping our commitments with our own practice, whatever negativity there may be, lack of trust in the Dharma, and so on, it is all completely pacified. So we develop this feeling of that being under the refuge of the Dharma, in which we have full trust, and there is a joy in having the Dharma and having the path. As I said before, it's like this strong feeling of joy going out from the doctor's office and having the right treatment in our hands and saying, oh wow, I can make it, I have it here with me. Okay? So this is what we generate as we do Namo Dharmaya. And we receive all the blessings from the teachings, from the Dharma. After that, the fourth, we take refuge in the Sangha. Then we do Namo Sanghaya. And we repeat Namo Sanghaya 3 times, 7 times, 21 times, 108 times, whatever. And as we repeat it, I will just read here briefly. It says, Chansen Yerampa Kandro Chö Gyon Soma So Gendyon Kuncho Namge Kule Dute Nange Gyon Baba Ke Bara Papa Gendo Kurwa Daba Gendo No Gendo Ge Yen Che Ba Gendo Ge She Tu Du We Go Troba So Dorna Gendo La Tembe Dikte Tamche Chanshi Da Le Se Kon Ta Wara Kur Ke Bara Tu Yang Gendo Kuncho Ki Chinla Tamche Ranse Semjen Tamche Ge Le La Shube Kuncho Gendo Kuncho Ge Kyabu Tu Chuk Bara Kyur. So, as we recite Namo Sanghaya, light and nectar come from Guru Buddha towards our own 5 chakras. And first it purifies any negativities between us and the Sangha. So, lack of trust in the Sangha, wrong judgment, aversion, anything there may be of negativity from our side towards the spiritual company, the spiritual community, towards the Sangha, we imagine that it's completely pacified. And as the light and nectars come, also the negativities like having created division in the Sangha, or any form of negativity relating ourselves towards the Sangha is completely pacified. And also any sort of negative feeling that there may be there, it's completely pacified. And we generate this deep feeling of trust, of gratitude, of love and trust in the Sangha. It's like we got out of the clinic of the doctor, we have the medicines, we are so happy, but then we look and we say, oh, the treatment is long, it's not one-day treatment. Oh, but I am so grateful there are the nurses and friends that will accompany me in this process of healing. I am not alone in it. And then we take refuge in our friends, we take refuge in the community, we take refuge in the Sangha that will accompany us on our path. And as the light and nectar comes from Guru Buddha, that is the embodiment of Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, we are so grateful and we feel this deep feeling of being under the care. So not only we receive the right treatment, we have the treatment with us, but we have company in our process. And that's all very important, okay? So as we recite Namo Sanghaya, the negativities between us and the Sangha are completely purified. Our body becomes pure like crystal and light. And we get under the refuge of the Sangha, so we feel this deep sensation of trust, of gratitude, of love in the Sangha, in the spiritual company, as we will follow the path. Okay? And we do this as we recite Namo Sanghaya. When we finish this, we complete the part of taking refuge. One thing which I need to add is during all this process, first we do thinking on ourselves, and then we imagine that the same thing is happening together with us, not after, but for us it's easier first to do thinking on us, than on the other sentient beings around us. So imagine that everyone around us is taking refuge in the Guru, in the Buddha, in the Dharma, in the Sangha, okay? In the same way as we do. Okay. I think it's quite clear, or not? Okay? The next part is about actually starting the part in developing bodhicitta, developing love and compassion towards others. But we will not start this now. We will go through this tomorrow. Otherwise, we open a subject that needs a lot of explanations, okay? So, in the part of taking refuge, we recite Namo Guru Bhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. We visualize Guru Buddha in front of us, light and nectar coming from the 5 chakras to our 5 chakras. We go through, before the light and nectar coming to our 5 chakras, we go through the analytical meditation that it's very important. Okay? It's really very important to do it. I say this because often it's not done. Often we just go through the formalities somehow. We are there and we just start Namo Guru Bhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya. Maybe we put our eyes a little bit up like if we are concentrated, you know. Namo Sanghaya, Namo Guru Bhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Some good feeling there, but it's very general. So my advice is give yourself some time in taking refuge. Sit down, first go through some breathing meditation, visualize Guru Buddha in front of you, go through the analytical meditation on refuge, on the Four Noble Truths, the preciousness of this life, the certainty of death, the urgency to do something, the qualities of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Then you take refuge in the Guru, in the Buddha, in the Dharma, and in the Sangha. Okay? This makes a big, big difference. And the state of consciousness that we are generating here, which is the ultimate goal, is, first of all, a state of consciousness in which we have deep trust in ourselves. And we want to reach a state of nirvana and to give up samsara. And we believe that we can make it. And we commit ourselves to our practice and to the path to reach this state of enlightenment. Not only for ourselves, but also for others. So we believe we want everyone to do the same path together. Okay? So I would say before we conclude, we do briefly together, not into many details, because it would take, to do all this meditation in details with calm, it takes more or less 45 minutes. Okay? We will do now 15 minutes version together. Okay? And then tomorrow morning we will give emphasis into the part of taking refuge. Okay? So we sit comfortably with our back straight but not tense. Shoulders relaxed. Right hand on top of the left hand in the mudra of concentration. The head slightly forward, mouth relaxed, eyes slightly closed, awareness of our own breath. We inhale. And exhale. We allow ourselves to be present at the present moment. the space in front of us appears a beautiful throne. It's upheld by 8 lions, 2 lions in each one of the 4 sides. At each side there is a double vajra showing the sign of stability. The throne is made with many jewels. It has a lotus seat, a sun and a moon cushion. Above this throne is Guru Buddha in the aspect of Buddha Shakyamuni. Guru Buddha is seated cross-legged. His right hand is in the mudra of touching the ground, the mudra of stability. His left hand is in the mudra of meditative concentration. Guru Buddha smiles at us. From his heart emanates a beautiful auric body, like multicolored light rays that expands through all directions, embracing us in his love and wisdom. We feel blessed, protected, loved, safe, and guided in the presence of Guru Buddha. We look upon ourselves as if we were looking in a sort of mirror. And deep within us, we recognize a very strong wish to be happy and not to suffer. The force that makes us do everything we do. Very clearly, we do not want to suffer. So truly, what do we want to avoid? We do not want any form of physical suffering. We do not want any form of mental suffering. We do not want to go through pain, hunger, thirst, heat, cold, sadness, depression, insatisfaction, and any other form of inner mental suffering. We strongly want to avoid any form of suffering. But we can see clearly that momentary pleasures, such as pleasures of our senses, obtaining the objects of desire, receiving recognition, brings momentary states of pleasure, but cannot truly uphold a state of well-being and peace. So that's simply not enough. We see clearly that we are polluted with ignorance, selfishness, our karmic force from the past, and that as long as we are in this so-called cycle of samsara, there will be suffering. It's not enough just to stop our suffering momentarily. We must cut it from its roots. So why do I suffer? Because of my own ignorance. I live and exist in a reality that is interdependent, that lacks inherent existence. But even though it appears to me as if everything exists in an independent way, autonomous, objectively, even myself appears to me as if I existed independently of everything else. This appearance and the grasping at such appearance of an independent, objective reality makes us to relate to everything in a selfish way. We become obsessed by our own self, by our own self-gratification. This obsession with self-gratification generates our anger, aversion, hatred, resentment, unlimited attachment, desire, insatisfaction, miserliness, jealousy, envy, and all other defilements. Through these defilements, we act and interact with others, with our body, with our speech, with our thoughts and emotions, generating a negative interdependence which manifests as results of suffering. We truly wish to be free from such cycle. We cannot cope with it anymore. We truly want to get out of the cycle of suffering. We allow ourselves to imagine for a moment, what would it be to be out of samsara, to be in the pure state of nirvana. We imagine ourselves in a state of harmony with oneself and others. We are in peace with everything, with everyone, with ourselves. We have a profound state of satisfaction as we perceive the interdependence that it relies within each phenomenon. We see that that is impermanent as being impermanent. We see that is subjective as being subjective. We know how to relate to every phenomenon in a harmonious way. We have no doubts, no fears. There is no jealousy, envy, miserliness, sadness. There is a profound state of peace, of satisfaction, of joy, of harmony. For a moment, we allow ourselves to rest our mind into that state. From the depths of our hearts, we wish to reach the state of nirvana. And for that, we must develop each one of our qualities, by which we eliminate our defilements, just as when we bring light into a place of darkness, the more light that goes in, the more the darkness goes out. We wish strongly to walk on every step necessary on this path, to develop love towards ourselves, love towards others, to develop wisdom as a correct view of reality. We wish deeply to walk on the path to enlightenment. We see that we are in the most precious conditions. We have a healthy body. We have a good material condition, which is very uncommon. We don't need to worry about our survival, truly. We have the opportunity of being guided correctly on the spiritual path. and we have the wish and the joy to follow this path. Such precious conditions are extremely rare to find, and for whatever reasons, here we are with them. We must not let this opportunity go by without taking it, without making a good use of it. But we are going to die. Truly, we don't know when. But there is no doubt that sooner or later, this opportunity, as we know it, will end. We have no time to waste. Not 1 day, not 1 hour, not 1 minute. We must make our life meaningful by walking on the path to enlightenment, by transforming our mind into virtue, by training ourselves in our qualities and overcoming our defilements. But to do that, we need help. So Guru Buddha, you who are there in front of me, embodiment of all Buddhas and holy beings, you who have already followed this path with success, please help me. I take refuge in the Guru, the physical manifestation of all holy beings that comes to me in a way that I can interact, because all the Buddhas, even though they wish to help me, in their subtle body I cannot relate to. So you, Guru Buddha, my own Guru, that shows me the path, that guides me with love, with a physical body that I can interact with, I take refuge in the Guru. Please help me. Guru Buddha smiles at us. From his 5 chakras, light emanates, absorbing at our own 5 chakras. Whatever negativity there may be is completely pacified, and we develop a strong, profound state of love, gratitude, trust, as Guru Buddha grants us refuge. Namo Guru Bhye, 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 Namo Guru Bhye. We take refuge in the Buddha that guides us on the path to enlightenment. Light and nectar manifest from the 5 chakras of Guru Buddha, granting us refuge, revitalizing our qualities as we develop this profound feeling of being guided on the path to enlightenment. We take refuge in the Buddha. Namo Buddhaya, 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 Namo Buddhaya. We take refuge in the Dharma, the actual path to enlightenment. Namo Dharmaya, 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 Namo Dharmaya. We take refuge in the Sangha, the spiritual company, during our path to enlightenment. Namo Sangaya, 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 Namo Sangaya. We take refuge in the Guru, in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha together. Namo Guru Bhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Guru Bhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Guru Bhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Triratnaya. Guru Buddha, in front of us, dissolves into a beautiful golden light, comes towards us, enters through our forehead, and fills our body, blessing our body, speech, and mind, blessing our mind stream deeply, being inseparable with us at every moment. Jetsun lame kutse rapten chi namkra trinle chokchur gepada losan tembe drume sasumki drove munsel taktu ne gyur chi nimo dele tsendele nime kuyan delek shin ninsen taktu delek pe kuncho sumki chingilo Kuncho sumke ngodrub, kuncho sumke tashi shun. Omahun temba lame sangye rinpoche, kyoba lame tamche rinpoche, tremba lame gendu rinpoche, kyamne kuncho sumla chepa. Grazie a tutti, buon appetito.